Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm Gary Hibner and welcome to this video series on Bitwig Studio. In this video series, we're going to get you familiar with the user interface and how to get up and running with the application. When you first open Bitwig, you introduced to this dashboard window. And this is just a good starting point where you can set everything up and get ready for starting a new project. The default tab is this user tab, and here you can do the quick start where you can load up template projects or create a new project. But before starting a new project, you need to make sure that your settings are all set up correctly. So under settings, the most important thing that you want to get set up is your audio device. Under the audio system, you can set up the device that you're going to be using for your input and output. So on my system here, I'm using Core Audio, which is the Mac audio system. On the Windows side, you'll be using ASIO driver system, but Bitwig also supports the Jack audio system. So I'm using Core Audio. This is my audio device. And I've got other audio devices on my system, so I could use a different device for my input and output, but I'm sticking with this, which is my Behringer UMC 404 HD. You can set a particular sample rate. It can be set to automatic, or if you want to go to a particular sample rate, you can set it over here. For example, maybe you want to work at 44.1 kilohertz. With the block size or buffer size, this is also set to automatic. You can see that it's reflecting a block size of 256 samples, and that's giving you a latency of 5.8 milliseconds. So generally, when you're recording audio in, you want to have a lower buffer size so you've got a lower latency. And then when you get into the mixing, you want to jump up this buffer size because you'll have more latency, but you don't need to worry about that latency. You want to get more performance out of the system. I generally stick with auto, but you can go in and lower that buffer size. Maybe you want to go down to 128 samples. And then when you get into the mixing, you can beat this up to 124 samples. Then with the input buses, these are the buses that you can create so that Bitwig sees the different inputs. For example, you might only see the stereo in, which is using the inputs 1 and 2 on your audio device. If you want some mono inputs, you can click here to add them. So I want a mono input for input 1 and then another for input 2. And then you can also create your output devices. This is the default one that goes to your speakers and headphones, and that's just going to be using outputs 1 and 2. But if you're using extra outputs, you can create them as well. Also, if you've got any MIDI controllers, you can see these devices here, but I will go through this in a later video. Another important one is locations. So this is just where everything is going to be saved. So for example, all my projects that I create are going to be under my username, my documents folder, Bitwig Studio, and then projects. Also, you can navigate to where your plugins are. If you're using different locations for your plugins, you can add a location here and just point to that. Under packages, it's just the included content that you get with Bitwig Studio. So you might just need to install these if you're missing some of the instruments and the plugins, but here are the packages that are included, and you can see what is available in each package. And if you need any extra help, you can navigate to the help section here, and you can go to the documentation and get the user guide. Also, what's new is just showing you all the new features that are in the current version of Bitwig Studio. But for now, we're just going to jump to the user section and create a new project. So I'm going to click new project over here, and then this is going to create my first new project within Bitwig Studio. Now, in the following videos, I'm going to navigate you around this user interface so you just get more familiar where everything is. I'll catch you in the next video.